If you've been making videos for a while, you probably already have a storage solution. If it's a QNAP, a Synology, a TrueNAS, a FreeNAS, something like that. If that's the case, I'm assuming you had a very similar response as my own and didn't really see a use case for one of these devices. After a little bit of time getting to use these units, I think I came up with the perfect solution as to why someone with a device already would purchase one of these devices. Before we get started today, I just want to quickly let you know about my website, jrtv.com, where you can learn everything about DaVinci Resolve and get your certification if that's something that you fancy. If you haven't been to the website in a little bit, I just recently added in a completely new tool called Animation Helper. It really helps out with making animations in Fusion. You know, clever little name there, but it's very powerful and it saves a ton of time. So take a look at that. Link in the description. So a few years back, I made a video talking about my current network detached storage device. And at the time I was using FreeNAS. The name of that storage platform has changed to TrueNAS. I'm going to be doing updated videos about it. So that's initially what I went into when I heard about all of these new tools back at the beginning of this year, mainly Blackmagic Cloud and then the Blackmagic Cloud Store and the Blackmagic Cloud Pod. So I didn't really have a real need for another device until I thought about the pains of actually doing remote work. A couple of years ago, when I was doing a lot of remote grades and working with very large projects, and people were just mailing me actual hard drives just because internet speeds, depending on where you are or just overall size of projects, isn't realistic to just send to someone or spend the time to push it onto a cloud provider and then pull all of that down. In some cases, it is a necessity, but if you can easily just send someone a hard drive in the mail in a Pelican case, it's much faster and much simpler than, uploading. So I was like, okay, why would I use one of these? But I came up with a actual use case where even to this day, with all of the equipment that I have, I would still buy one of these. And that's kind of what I want to go over today. If you haven't heard about these devices, the difference between the available products that are out today, which is the Blackmagic Cloud Pod and the Blackmagic Cloud Store Mini, is going to be one comes with internal storage and the other one you need to connect storage to. Those are going to be the main differences. There are a slight differences when it comes to ports on the back. The big claim to fame for these is that they can connect up to third-party cloud providers. So think of Google Drive or Dropbox, and it can sync with different folders that you have available on your account. So this is a way to get the media. So think your videos, if you have any graphics, if you have any audio, those files, it's the way in which that you would be able to send and receive those using these devices here. Now, the device that I have, or if you think of like a Synology or a QNAP or different devices like that, those can also sync up to different cloud services with a little setup. Think of the Blackmagic Cloud Pod and Cloud Store as just a simple solution. Almost no configuration outside of logging into one of your cloud provider accounts. There is no setup. So simplicity is the name of the game with these devices. If you were to send it to someone, they don't have to worry about any login credentials, or they don't have to worry about making sure that the network is set up properly. These are just set up to be super simple so that you don't have to have an IT team. They have a program that you can install on your computer. It will automatically look on your whole network to find a device. You don't need to know a specific IP address. I was actually at NAB helping out Blackmagic at the booth, and a lot of people looked at these as just networked attached storage devices. Yes, that's what they are, but these are a very simplified version of those devices. These are going to just send and receive files on the network. They have 10 gig connectivity. All of the devices that are in the storage world of these Blackmagic cloud devices, they all have 10 gigabit. So if your network is 10 gigabit, hey, you'll have 10 gigabit. If it's only 1 gig, well, these will just be, 1 gig, whatever the slowest link in the connection is. Same way with the drives for the pod. If you have a really fast drive, but you're connecting it up over a slow network, well then, that's what you're going to have. But you can connect these devices directly up to your computer as if it is a external drive. And the cool thing is with that is, let's say that our computer didn't have the ability to have 10 gig network connection. Well, we could connect it directly into here over USB, and then from there we would be able to just put in whatever our network connection is into here and have that as the link to connect to the internet, so that we would be able to sync files. So if we're working on a project, the files are already on here, and we need a new sound bite, or we need a piece of music or a logo or whatever it may be, someone can just share it in a Dropbox, and then this will see that that was added in, and it'll automatically start downloading, and then you'll have it in your project. If like the other person put it into the actual project, and you're sharing over Blackmagic Cloud. So Blackmagic Cloud, Blackmagic Cloud Pod, they're little different, or the Blackmagic Cloud Store, a little different. They have almost the same name, which made things super complicated to explain at NAB. But yeah, that's kind of what the device is. So why, with all of my equipment, why would I want one of these devices? And the main reason why I'd want one of these devices is because of their size, the overall size. The overall size is extremely small. It's pretty much the same size as an external drive that you would typically get. Back when I was doing color grading remotely, it was a group that was in LA and I'm in Pennsylvania. They would just email me, or I keep saying email, they would just mail me drives. And yeah, that's cool and all, but once they had, some extra files, then they would have to go to Dropbox, send them to me. If their files were too big, then they would just send me another drive. But the cool thing with these is you can send them, because of the size of them, you can send them to someone and then just have them plug it in, because you can already pre-configure it. So think about it this way. You have someone on your team, brilliant editor, but isn't really tech savvy. Well, someone at your facility could just set this up with all the credentials to the Dropbox account, have all of the files already in there, good to go. They just plug it in over USB to their system, start using it, plug in an Ethernet so that it has internet, and now they have all of their files that they need to start working, right? Because we just mailed it to them instead of having to deal with internet speeds and all that stuff. Because 8 terabytes, how fast, depending on your internet speed, that might take, a significant amount of time to get to someone. And then there's going to be in the future bigger ones that you can buy as well. But for now, the 8 terabyte, or if you use the pod, you could even put bigger drives on the pod. Then that would be 2 devices that you're mailing to them, but same thing. You mail it to them. The credentials are already in there. They just connect it up so it has internet. And then everyone else, I need a music file, or I need this soundbite. They just drop it in the Google Drive or Dropbox account, and then the device automatically has it. That's why I would personally buy it for that. Now, if you just want a drive connected to your network, this is a perfect, super fast, it would just work out of the gate. I don't really like diving into synthetic benchmarks. There's a lot of variables that can go in, testing latency and real use case scenarios and all of that. I think synthetic benchmarks are a waste of time. So both platforms, the Pod or the Cloud Store Mini, can both saturate the 10 gig link if you do have it connected up properly. But yeah, that's kind of my use case on these, would be to send to editors, colorists, VFX guys that aren't tech savvy, but they are great at their craft, and you want them to be a part of the remote project, and you don't want to be sending files or links and emails to files and stuff like that. Forget all of that. You can have this all set up. Let's say even if you have a remote editor, and let's say you're working with weddings, you send them one of these drives that's already set up. They just connect it. Once you're done with your shoot, you come back, you do all of the ingest, you then push to Dropbox. These automatically will start downloading. I'm going to be diving into a whole workflow on how to use these with my storage device that I had, or any of the other NAS devices. So if you were, let's say, the wedding guy, and you have a Synology, or I'll be talking about True NAS and how that works. But if you have one of these devices, you can have it pointed to one of these shares if it's on, let's say, Dropbox or Google Cloud currently. In the future, they talk about having others. but how you can have it set up so once you do the ingest onto your device at your facility, these will see that that ingest was successful and they will start downloading it. So like on a Friday, you could do all of your ingest, or if, you know, a lot of weddings are sometimes on weekends, do all your ingest over the weekend. By Monday, when it's time for the editor to start, they already have all of their files. They're good to go on their side of the thing. So they're not, you know, the first couple of hours, they're not downloading everything of their workday. They already have it and they're good to go. So I'll be diving into actual workflows, but I just wanted to give you an idea of, even if you have a, you know, assortment of equipment for your facility, network devices and all that stuff, why these still might be a viable option for you guys, because I would definitely still buy these to this day, on the sole fact the form factor is extremely small. You can put it in a Pelican case, you can send it across the country, and they will get it and they can start working. And these devices have no moving parts, so it's not like you're sending spinning disks or anything like that. It's all fast SSDs that are in them. If you have the pod, then you just, you know, get it a really fast SSD. They have like a recommended list of drives so that you would be able to saturate that 10 gig link. But you really can connect anything into it that is a mountable drive. So yeah, that's going to be my little thing on these devices. Still think that it's a thing that you should get. If you want to know more about how these devices would work in a full-on remote session, if you're, you know, working on a film, how we would start to finish with all the different tools that I would use in a remote environment, I will be making a pretty lengthy video with a couple of different companies that have a bunch of different tools and services that aren't actually even out yet, as well as talking about how the Blackmagic cloud works and all that stuff with specifically DaVinci Resolve. So stay tuned to that if you want to know more about that. I would say subscribe. If this is way in the future, there'll be links in the description linking to those videos. But with that being said, my name's Justin. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, guys. Peace.